Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Karen Nelson Pinedo, General Manager at Qubit Consulting, and I am pleased to welcome you to week 2 of our Executive Intelligence webinar series. Today's session is a treat. It is about the $100,000 productivity leak, finding the hidden operational cost inside our organization. Productivity losses rarely come from one issue. They're usually the results of small insufficiencies that add up over time. Think about your organization. How often do you hear, I'm waiting on someone, I'm already seeing that, I thought another department was handling it? These are signs of operational friction. Joining me today is Afnan Salah, who will demonstrate our productivity management solution and show how leaders can gain visibility into work patterns and operational bottlenecks. We encourage that you participate throughout the session by sharing your thoughts in the chat. No idea, no comments is too small. Let's have that dialogue. So let's jump in. Organizations often associate productivity with problems from an employee's effort. When deadlines slip or projects take longer than expected, we assume people aren't working hard enough, but that's often not the issue. The problem may be slow approvals, too many applications, duplicate work, or communication gaps. Employees can be busy all day responding to messages, searching for information, or attending meetings, yet making little meaningful progress. Productivity isn't about looking busy, it's about creating value. The better question should be, how much of their time is producing meaningful value, and how is being consumed by friction? What we often find is that people are trying to perform inside systems that make good performance unnecessarily difficult. That's the friction. So we have a perception here and we have reality. This is going to show us the productivity iceberg. Above the surface is what executives can easily see: active software, logins, messages being sent, hours logged, employees appearing occupied. These are visible indicators of activity, right? But beneath the surface is what businesses may actually be experiencing: constant context switching, unclear priorities, reactive work, meetings without outcomes, repeated interruptions, delayed in decisions, work being completed more than once. This is why visibility matters. If leaders only see the visible activities above the surface, they may reach the wrong conclusions. For example, long working hours may appear to reflect commitment, but they may also indicate an overloaded employee, poor workload distribution, or insufficient processes. A full calendar may appear productive, but the meetings do not produce decisions, ownership, or action. They may be reducing productivity capacity. This is where productivity quietly leaks away. Let's look at how this can affect the way we interpret individual productivity with this short demo.
All right, I will start now to jump over to walk through the system. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we're seeing you fine, Afnan.
All right, thanks. So as we can see, I'm going to start my demo with productivity by user, which is one of the most operational dashboards in ActiveTrack. And we can reach it from workforce management and jump into the productivity by user. So this dashboard provides a real-time view of how individual and teams spend their working time rather than looking only at total productive hours. It helps managers understand how work is distributed, throughout the day and identify opportunities to improve performance and workload management. And keep in mind, whenever you come to this dashboard, this question: are employees spending most of their time on productive work, or it's too much time classified as unproductive or undefined? Are employees working according to their expected schedules, or do we see early starts, late finishes, or inconsistent work patterns? And finally, which employees may benefit from coaching, additional support, or workload adjustments? So let me first explain what exactly this dashboard provides. So from the filter section, we can see from the users level or groups, and we have summary and details, and we can select a percent range from the drop-down menu or custom any specific date, and then we can see any specific employee from a specific teams or all the teams together. And whenever we do that, we just do refresh, and this will be updated. So from the first section, we have the schedule, which is include the user, which is the name of the employee, productive active, productive passive, unproductive, undefined, offline meeting, and work time. So what exactly productive means on active track and how it's measured? Productive actives, which is any time the employee spend on any application or websites that support the employee's connection role or the responsibility they should be working on. And then we have the productive passive. Both are productive. So what is the difference? Passive means that this application or website the employee is working on no need any interaction with the system. Like, for example, if the employee on the meeting and he don't need to present anything or it's only to talk, so this time will come over as a productive passive when it's more than 3-5 minutes come over. And it's kind of productive, but it should be less as much as we can. And unproductive active means the application and websites the employees spend time on, which is not support or come under his productive connection role or responsibility. Let me give you an example. If the employee is working on financial role or security role, and he's during the work hours come over and use the website or application like social media, Facebook, TikTok, this time he spent on this application or website will come over as unproductive because it's not support or give any value. Undefined active, which is any application or website that employee start working on, which is not classified yet in active track. So these are a new application that employees start working on. And definitely this time come over as undefined. The one who admin or responsible of active track will clock and check if this application and website support the employee's connection role. It will come over and classified it as productive, or if it's not, will come as unproductive. The offline meeting, which is any time that employee working but not on the system. Let me elaborate here. So basically, active track will be working on the system of the employee. Whenever the system close, the active track will be stopped working or tracking any work. So whatever, if the employee has any meeting, but it's a personal meeting on a ground. So basically, we can go ahead and select this time of the meeting on our calendar. An active track integrates this, the application integrate with our calendars employee. So whenever has any meeting schedule on the calendar, and then the system was closed, this time of the meeting will come over as offline meeting and will be included as a full work time. The work time, which is include all the time the employees spend on all these four kind of work. Now let's jump in. If we click on this or this, we can see the more details in the down section. Here we can see the name of the employee, the total usage time, and we can see where exactly when he start, when he's finished, if he take any break, which is the white blank, and all these green reflect the productive application or website he was working on duration this time. So without only if we cross the mouse, without click on it, we can figure out where exactly this employee was working during this time and if these applications support and align with her core responsibility or not. So as we can see here, this dashboard isn't designed to compare employees against each other or to monitor. Instead, it helps managers understand individual work patterns, recognize positive behavior, identify coaching opportunities, and make objective data-driven decisions instead of relying on assumptions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Afnan. That was a very insightful. A lot of things that I got from that dashboard really can help leaders to quickly identify those patterns and across the individual or team space. They can also go ahead to see who's consistently productive, who's struggling with their work hours, and whether this is translating into meaningful output. I hope those leaders are taking very good note of this for sure, how our productivity management solution dashboards can help. But let's jump in a little bit more to the next part. So here we identify three common areas where productivity friction occurs. First, it's application overload. An employee may move between emails, messaging platforms, spreadsheets, customer systems, document platforms, and then do not necessarily complete one single task because they're switching all over the place, or all of these dashboards are needed for one single task, or so you think. Every switch requires the person to pause, reorient themselves, and find the correct information and continue. A few application switches may not appear costly, but repeated hundreds of times across a team, they reduce focus and increase the likelihood of mistakes. The second area is workflow roadblocks or bottlenecks. A task may remain incomplete because it's waiting for approvals, review, clarification, or access. The employee may complete their portion, but the process stops because the next person has to now act on it and they have not started. The third area is duplicated work. This happens when the same information is entered into multiple systems. Different departments unknowingly perform the same task, or an employee repeats work because the original information cannot be located. See how this can be difficult? So let's look at a scenario here. A mid-sized logistics team processes 50 vendor approvals each week. The team is fully staffed, employees are busy, and everyone is working over 40 hours. The process seems straightforward. An invoice is emailed, reviewed by a manager, sent to a finance team for budget checks, and then manually entered into the ERP system. So here's the question. Where is the $15,000 annual productivity leak hiding? I would like to take a moment and I want you in the audience to identify where you believe the greatest leak is occurring. Is it the email submission, the PDF review, the communication with finance, the manual ERP entry, the combination of all four? And if you don't think any of the answers is there, go ahead and let me know what you think. Please share your answers in the chat. I'll just give you a minute to do so. Where do you think the leak is happening between these parts? Oh, I'm seeing an answer coming over, say the review for the PDF. Interesting. Mm. Communication, but all of them. Thank you so much for your responses. So I can see that you would have identified a few areas that insufficiency would have happened, and those are correct. But the biggest cost is not necessarily the actual task, it is what's happening in between. So, what do I mean by that? At each space or each given time, someone waits. There is a delay. So that's where the add up happens. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So let's diagnose it a bit. The real productivity leak, usually the time between each step of waiting. Waiting for an email to be opened, waiting for the manager's approval, waiting for finance to respond, and waiting for someone to manually enter into the ERP system. Elapsed time matters because it can delay payments, create follow up messages, hold up other tasks, and increase administrative effort. Individually, these delays may seem insignificant, but when it happens across 50 approvals every week, week after week, they quickly add up to hundreds of lost hours each year. That's where the $15,000 annual leak is hiding, not one task, but in the cumulative impact of delay, handoffs, and process friction. This is why leaders need visibility into how work flows through the organization. Once you can see where time is being lost, you can redesign the process, automate repetitive tasks, and eliminate those hidden costs before it affects productivity and profitability. So, can leaders identify these issues without relying on a survey, assumptions, or compliments? Think about that for a bit. And while you think on it, let's jump over to our next demo from Afnan.
All right, thank you, Kay. And here we are. So from the menu, I click on productivity optimization and then go through the personal insights. And this is the dashboards, how it's look like. So whenever reviewing this dashboard, I usually ask some questions. Does the employee have enough uninterrupted focus time to complete meaningful work? Is collaboration balanced, or are meetings and messages taking up too much of the day? And even, are we seeing high levels of multitasking, which is excessive task switching, is often a sign that employees are being interrupted too frequently or are struggling to prioritize their workload. And finally, what actions can manager take? So let's see how the dashboard answer these questions. So from the filter section, we only have see this individual. So we cannot see the team here. It's only showing the individual data. And then I will definitely show my data. And then this is how it look like. This is the first section. As we can see, it will show you the average for the last week. It's always showing last week. That's why we don't have a specific date here. So first, we have a screen time hours per day, which is the average for last week. And then we have a productive hours per day, which is also reflect the average. So here we have a productive efficiency, which is reflect how the work was efficiency for last week based on the screen time and a productive hour. If they are equal, means that work is 100% efficiency. And then also activity track provide here from down, we can do comparison with the organization policies. So we can figure out if the employee met the target, and if it's met the target, it will give you how many he exceeded or reduced this target. So here we can see I met the target and exceeded by 1.4 versus the goal. And the same with the focus hours as well. So this dashboard provides the productivity, but breaking down by focus, collaboration, and multitask. So here it will also provide the average for the focus hours per day and collaboration and compare it with the organization policies, and will give you the delta as well. If we jump over to the team benchmark, here we can see and do comparison with these metrics based on the rest of the team that this employee belonged to. So here we can see the average and do some comparison, definitely not to plan on someone, but to see any opportunities to improve or assist. If we scroll down, we can see the daily view. So it will reflect by each day how much the employee spend that productive hour, focus, and collaboration each days. And in this book, we can see the weekly average. It's cover the work productive hour for the last month, and you can do the comparison between the employees for the last week and the previous months, divided into 4 weeks. And you can see if he's facing any reduce with his productivity, focus, collaboration, need assist, if he has any sign of burnout, etc. If we scroll down a little bit, we will see the time breakdown, which is divided into 3: focus and collaboration and multitask. So definitely we prefer to see a high focus because it's execution part of the work and should be a deep work where we achieving a high value. And then we see the collaboration, which is definitely request, but it should be a short or less time. And then the multitasking case, which is also some kind of tasks request this kind of work, but it also should be look out about it, because it's sometimes reflect this employee may be an interruption or distracted because of others application or website. So here we can see exactly which application or websites affect on the focus time, which is here reflect the Google, which is the time spent on the collaboration. And then we see the multitasking application or website the employee mostly spend time on. And from here, we can figure out if this tasks is related to the work or the employee is need some assist. And also these green circle give you attention shifts. So how many times the employees was move and back to this application in short time. So I didn't mention that how ActiveTrack measure the focus, collaboration, and multitask. Basically, whenever the employee is working more than 5 to 10 minutes deeply in one application without jump over to another, this time will come over as a focus time, because the employee is deeply focused on one specific or achieving one task. But anytime come over on any application needs support the collaboration, for example, Slack, Google Meet, Zoom, whatever the organization use these kind of collaboration apps or sites. And then the multitask, which is whenever the employees spend short time on specific application and then jump or switch into another without spend a long time on one specific app. This time will come over as a multitasking. So it's important to see how is the productive being done for individual work, and if it's efficiency accomplish a high value work, or there is any kind of interruptions, high meetings time, or high contact switching. If we scroll down, here we can see the focus sessions by minutes in average for the last week. And here we can see the focus, collaboration, and multitask by hours of day. So we can figure out the pattern of the employee, how is he working and completing his task, if he needs any assist, any guide, so we can provide. And for this section, we can figure out the habits of the employee. So rather than assumption there is a performance issue, these insights help manager understand the root cause. It may be as simple as reducing unnecessary meeting, etc. For the healthy under overutilized, basically these insights help managers identify unhealthy work habits before they become a performance or well-being issue. For example, if an employee is consistently working long, productive hours with very few breaks, it may look like a high performance at first. However, over time, this can lead to fatigue, lower work quality, and eventually burnout. But on the other hand, if productive hours are consistently low, it may indicate that workload imbalance, unclear priorities, or that the employee needs additional support or resources. Let's see how we can read this data. So it's covered previous month here, and it's provide the screen time average, the productive efficiency, and the case if the utilization level was healthy, underutilized, overutilized. And we can see the most of the days was healthy. And then we see the days overutilized during this time, which is 6, and the days the work was healthy, which is 15, and then there's no underutilized days come over. And also provide the average start of the days and also the end of the day, so you can figure out if there's a specific pattern, if there's late, start on time, etc. And also will provide the breaks per day, minutes for each break as well, if they are taking a longer break, being inactive, or they taking several or many breaks per day, which is become more distracted and affect on the employee performance. And then we jump over to the work habits by week, and we can see all of these, but like for each week, it's to provide the whole productive hour for this week, which is this is the date, and also will show you how many days they were overutilized or underutilized. Overutilized means in active track they are met the target that employees standard or policies, and they exceed it. So that means they are overutilized, working more than they should. Underutilized mean the employees didn't even meet the target or even the threshold that the organization are set up, and the same for all the past 4 weeks. If we jump over to the last part from this dashboard, yeah, it's amazing. So here we can see the categories that the top categories the employee are focused on for the last week. Here we can see the duration by hours and the allocation percentage for the last week. And here we can figure out if this time has a high value, it's aligned with his core responsibility or not. So here we can see if there any changing from the previous week and this week, if they are more working or focus in this category, if there is any AI tools assisting come over or reduce working on these. So all we can figure out it here and check if any employees need assist to work on more core activities or responsibilities. So thank you. Back to you, Carrie.
All right. Wow. Those are some amazing insights. And those stats look really good, Afnan. I'm so happy to see that. I hope everyone on the team is doing just that.
Yeah, it's like a comprehensive. This is my favorite dashboard and active track.
Nice, I can tell. That's really good. That's really good. And I hope that they're paying in really key detail to that specific dashboard because it gives employees perspective. These insights provide visibility into their own workday. Before a manager ever reviews it, they can see where their time is going, identify habits. They may be affected by certain things that are happening, and their productivity may show that. And this is where they can make adjustments throughout the day to ensure that it aligns. It promotes personal accountability, encourages continuous improvement, and gives employees opportunities to demonstrate their productivity without assumptions. So now let's connect that visibility to business value and profitability. With that, we're going to look at this matrix that compares what leaders see with what may actually be happening. First, the first symptom is high tool engagement and frequent logins. Afnan mentioned just now a little bit about technology, which we're going to talk a little bit more later on. But this symptom is something that shows the hidden reality that maybe tools are overloaded and contact switching is happening. What is that financial impact? It may be a reduction in deep work capacity. So, many licenses are rarely used. Some application overlap and employees are switching between multiple tools to complete the same task. In financial language or wording, the pain for unused software, losing time throughout insufficient workflows, and reducing the return on its technology investment. Individually, these costs may seem small, but across hundreds of employees over a course of a year, they become a significant productivity leap. So how do you work about that? How do you know what technology is not being used? How do you know that you're spending on all these different licenses for these users, but are they really using it? Are they um capitalizing on that? Are you getting back your return on investment? Let's take a look at this short demo on the technology and AI usage, and let's see how that return on investment can happen and what it can cost your business. Take it over.
All right, thanks, Gary. So now we are on the system. We will, from the menu, go to the executive summaries and then jump over to the technology utilization. All right, so basically, as we can see, today's organization invests heavily in technology and AI tools to improve productivity, automate repetitive tasks, and allow employees to spend more time on high-value work. However, purchasing technology doesn't automatically improve performance, right? The real question for leaders is, are we actually getting value from the technology we invest in? This dashboard helps answer that question by providing visibility into how technology, including AI application, is being used across the organization. All right, so this is how the dashboard looks like. And from the filter section, we can select any date. And here we have a team level or a user level. And then let's remove the user and focus on the team. And do refresh. And if we would like, we can focus on a specific category as well. And then we will get this two section. So as we can see, we have the top application and site by allocation based on activity date. So here we can figure out which the top activity application or website come over in the company, and if our investment or our top application or website we are rely on being used as much as we expected or not. And here we can figure out also by percentage how many was used this application, and also how many users being work on this application as well. And as we can see, Also, in this section, we can look at the category allocation by percentage and see what is the more categories being used for the last 7 days, any specific dates you would like to look at. And here we can see which is the categories taken lead for that. So here we can see the developer come over and spend 25.8, and then we see AI tools and assistant also come over by spending 14.4 percentage, and in-house tools, etc. So it's allow you to figure out if the employees are working on the most important application and website that support what the work is needed and being done. And also we can jump over to the top changes. And here we can figure out. Here we can select 2 dates to do comparison between this period and which application and website being increase in use or the decrease using this application. So here we can see, for example, the education, security, productive, it's come over and it will show you how many the increase in by percentage, and the same with which which categories reducing by this duration comparing with the period we already select on the filter section, and also will show you by how many percentage. Like here we can see the in-house tools minus 2.4. So here we can, where the employees is during this period, focus on which application was being used most and reduce or the opposite. And also we can see the allocation percentage, which is activity date, and also the hours that spend time on, definitely in average, and the user change. So how many employees are changed by using these specific categories. And if we scroll down, we can see changing in application or website trend. So where is trend up and where is it trending down? Here we can see that top or the most application and sites being trending up, and how many by the allocation act date and hours and user change. The same for the trending down. So it's help to the manager to figure out where the employees was focused on for the specific time and how many they are changing and focus for the previous time or based on the time you are select on the filter. And on the adoption, it will show you if you would like to be more specific and figure out, for example, a specific tools you are invest in, how many employees adopt this application or website, how many days they active on, how many time they spend on, and all of that. So here we can select it from the category, for example, AI tools and assistance, and I would like to know more about so we just select the category, the specific app or site, and here we can see the users with activity during time range that already here, and then it will show you how many days they active on and how many duration they spend on and days since last activity. It also will give you the average for active minutes per day, active user, and inactive user. So based on this information, you can figure out if your investment is being make sense, or you have to do some adjustment or changing your purchasing in any application or websites, if it's assessed or not. So rather than simply tracking application usage, this dashboard helps us understand whether our technology strategy is supporting productivity and business performance. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Afnan. And as mentioned before, one of the biggest challenges organization face isn't a lack of technology, it's the lack of visibility in how the technology is being used. Without data, it's difficult to know where or whether a platform is delivering value, whether employees need additional training, or whether multiple tools are performing at the same function. So your return on investment really depends on seeing what's really happening in your organization with those subscriptions. And it can be really difficult to manually go through every single subscription and track if someone is using it. So this productivity solution will be able to go ahead and tell you that data on who is using it from both a technology or even the AI standpoint. As you can see, Afnan showed us ChatGTP just now, who's using it, how often they're using it. So maybe we need to change up a few persons that may have that license payment that's going through. So let's do a quick poll, and I want you in the chat to go ahead and let me know which productivity leak is currently creating the most friction in your daily operations. So we have tools, overload, and contact switching. So this is where employees are losing time moving between many applications. We have option B, which is workflow bottlenecks and decision delays. Slow approvals are happening, unclear priorities are preventing progress. What about option C? Is it duplicated and reactive work? Are teams repeating tasks constantly, responding to urgent issues? What about option D? Communication gaps. Lack of clear communication is creating misaligned or operational friction. Select one of those options, or it could be more than one, but whatever is most close to what reflects your organization. I'm seeing some answers come through. Currently seeing tool overload, wow, and contact switching. Okay. So we'll jump back to those responses for your live poll. I'll give you another few seconds just to take a look at the answers and share what is possible for you, and we'll come back to it later on. All right, so this may be something that a lot of you are wondering and waiting for. Now, let's look at how we're going to convert lost time into estimated financial value. So, the example that we're using for this productivity cost calculator, yes, a little bit of math is fine, okay? So, we have 50 employees multiplied by 4 hours per week. Multiply that by $45 per hour. Then multiply that by 52 weeks. That equals an estimated annual productivity leap of $468,000. Yes. So you have 50 employees, and they're losing the hours they lose on friction is 4 hours. And then you're going to multiply that by their per hourly rate. And then it's 52 weeks in a year. So that total is almost $500,000. That resonates a little bit, right? That's a lot. Not everyone will see the same thing because not every team is the same. Not every organization is the same. But the important point isn't the exact number. It's how quickly small everyday insufficiencies accumulate. That's just 4 hours, right? A few minutes lost each day may seem insignificant, but multiplied across employees, across departments for an entire year becomes a substantial operational cost. So every organization invests in people, technology, and operations. The goal isn't simply to reduce costs, it's to maximize the return on those investments. When productivity leaks are removed, the same resources produce greater value. better outcomes, and stronger return on investment. So I would like you to estimate your own numbers using this method to see where your team lies. So think about that going forward, okay? All right. So chaos happens sometimes, it happens sometimes, or it may happen a lot depending on the organization that you go into. So chaos rarely begins with a major failure. It starts with one small insufficiency. A delayed decision, a missed handoff may seem insignificant, but each one creates another follow up, another delay, another interruption. Before long, a single issue has affected multiple people, departments, and timelines. That's the ripple effect. Take a common IT support request. An employee reports that a critical business application isn't working. The help desk logs the ticket and assigns it to an infrastructure team, assuming it's a server issue. Hours later, the infrastructure team discovers the problem actually belongs to the applications team, who then realize the wait that it's waiting on a vendor update. No one communicates the handoff. So the employee, manager, and the customer team is facing all the issues of waiting for just an update, while the issue sits between teams, employees cannot complete their work. Projects are delayed, customers' requests go unanswered, and multiple people spend time chasing status updates instead of solving the problem. The cost isn't the technical issue itself, it is the compounding cost of chaos, a reaction where productivity is lost, deadlines slip, and customer confidence declines. Now imagine this happening dozens of times each week across IT support, system access, application issues, onboarding, and business critical services, ultimately lowering the return on every investment the business makes. You might be wondering, how do we recover from that? At Blue Qubit Consulting, we approach productivity improvement through four areas. First, visibility. You probably heard me say that a few times throughout this webinar, but visibility is crucial. We examine how workflows through the organization, where time is being spent, where progress creates delays, and what processes create delays, and what patterns appear in data. The purpose is to create an objective view of work environment rather than relying only on opinions and isolated incidents. Second, we focus on alignment. This means improving the connection between people, priorities, systems, your technology, and communication. Employees should understand what matters most, who owns each step, where information is located, when decisions are required, and how success is measured. Then we focus on identifying opportunities for optimization. This may involve automating repetitive work, reducing unnecessary application switching, removing delayed process, involving improving approval processes, protecting focus time, rebalancing workloads, and simplifying reports. And of course, we have to establish governance. Leaders need to make clear measures that show whether improvements are producing results. Those measures should focus on outcomes, efficiencies, utilization, and operational health, not simply whether employees appear active. This methodology helps organization move from observation to action. So what I want you to do, go ahead and use that calculator to figure out what's happening, right? We created a system for you here, right? Then After you figure out where that leak is or what that leak looks like, come to us and we will show you these workflows and help you to recover by using these 4 steps. So, the action plan, right? So, make the map. Map your progress. Choose one critical business process and map every handoff, start to finish. Identify where work begins, who is involved, where decisions are made, and where delays typically occur. Then identify the friction. Look for unnecessary application switching, duplicated work, manual tasks, and communication gaps. Ask why or what is slowing this process down and why. Measure the waiting. Determine whether work spend the most time waiting for approvals, responses, information, or decision. Waiting time is often the largest hidden productivity leak. Simplify and optimize. Eliminate unnecessary steps. Improve handoffs. Consolidate tools where possible. And automate repetitive tasks. The goal is to make workflow more efficiently, not simply work faster. Then measure the impact. Track improvements in cycle time, productivity, customer response, and operational efficiency. The objective is to increase the return on your investment in people, processes, and technology. So, I've given you some things to think about, right? But do remember, with this all, doing it manually can also add to your friction. So, how do you get this to be a bit more easier for your team? That is where our productivity management solution comes into play. We give you the data, as shown by Afnan in her demos. You can see what people are working on in terms of the data, the patterns, where are their focus time, what is causing that friction. And from there, you can implement that data into your daily coachings or your weekly coachings to help improve. And the visibility is where the foundation is better decision making, higher productivity, and stronger business performance. Before we end, I do want to open up the session for any questions you may want to submit in the chats or even open up your mic. Give you a minute here, okay? No questions. Okay, I guess you all are enjoying the presentation and it was very clear for you, and that's great. That's exactly what I'd like. So remember that productivity losses are often caused by lack of is often not caused by lack of effort, but by hidden friction in workflows, communication, and technology. The first step is visibility. Once leaders understand where time is being spent, they can improve processes, remove barriers, and make better decisions. Thank you for joining us, and a special thanks to Afnan Salah for today's presentation or demonstration. Next week, we'll focus or I'd like you to join us for the executive productivity dashboard every CEO should have, turning data into better decisions. We'll explore the key productivity insights leaders should track and how to turn data into practical actions. Thank you, and we hope to see you next week. Bye.